IGP of police is already speaking. The DG, DSS is speaking. The military are speaking. And my sense of it is that they're shutting down democratic conversation. We should not allow that. Why you're going to swear people in if you will allow those who want to protest peacefully, legitimately, and constitutionally? Thousands, if possible millions of Nigerians are permitted to gather with their placards, waving it and protesting.
It's few days to the inauguration ceremony and the subsequent swearing in of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinibu, stating the 29th day of May 2023 as the stipulated date for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinibu and Senator Kashim Shettima to be sworn in as President and Vice President-elect. So in the build-up to these days, there are lots of issues that that Nigerians feel unresolved, talking about issues pertaining to the sickness of the polity and the headache that is attributed to the democratic system in Nigeria right away. My name is Angelo Himalayas, and you're welcome to Nation's Voice Tower. I have Professor Udenta in the house. Professor Udenta Udenta, who is the founding National Secretary of the Alliance for Democracy and a distinguished fellow of the Abuja School of Social and Political Thought, has come on air to condemn the IG of Police, the Inspector General of Police, and the Chief of Army Staff over an issue pertaining to their pronouncement of the 29th day of May 2023 being sacrosanct to and also important to anything Nigeria is taking or going into right now. Okay, now he stated in his interview that Nigerians have the right to protest under media coverage. Okay, he condemned lots of activities in the build-up to the 29th day of May 2023, and he actually spoke about the turning down of the request of media publicity in the courthouse, as it's actually supposed to show us a way or a pathway to a stable democratic system. But Professor Udenta really frowned at that fact, and he said he feels that issues pertaining to the swearing-in day of Asiwaju should be more important than any other issue now in Nigeria. Listen to Professor Udenta Udenta.
There is a more urgent matter before us today. The question of how the media performed, analysis of that, taking stock of the media environment and media space and the context under which they performed. We wait another day. In 2 or 3 days' time or 4 days' time, there will be swearing-in process. The IGP of police is already speaking. The DG, DSS is speaking. The military are speaking. And my sense of it is that they're shutting down democratic conversation. We should not allow that. Why you're going to swear people in if you will allow those who want to protest peacefully, legitimately, and constitutionally? I did say inside in a segment on the dialogue, if you have your security perimeter, within which you don't expect anybody except invited guests and those with clearance, outside the perimeter, thousands, if possible millions of Nigerians are permitted to gather with their placards, waving it and protesting. Now, what is going inside there is not to their likening. That is part of democracy. You can't shut it down. That is what is important now, not the performance of the media during the last election. The media is a fundamental guardrail for protecting democratic infrastructure, democratic governance. The moment you tear it down, democracy vanishes. Authoritarianism becomes the order of the day. Illiberal practices will take over. The behavior of MBC, the behavior of even the present-elect media team is abhorrent at this time and age. That's why I want to repeat, if that is the only thing you have to take away from here, as people will be sworn in on 29th May, millions of Nigerians gathered across the country have a right to protest wherever they are. So long as you don't have arms, you don't have any weapon, and you're doing it peacefully, as the law provides. And the media should cover this robustly. With intensity, the way you cover the swearing in, that's the way you're going to cover the protest of the people. Or the endorsement of the people. Whoever wants to protest or counter-protest, it is permitted in law. It is important. So when you hear those who manage the security state speak with so much vehemence, as if people are going to topple the democratic system, that's not going to happen. No. The right to protest is part of the right which is provided for in law. And so long as you do it in a peaceful, legitimate, constitutional manner, that right should never be abridged. Very important. In fact, the more the foreign visitors, the more the protest. Those visitors in their own country, there are protests. If you're coming from the US, there are protests in Paris. There are protests for the past 3-4 months going on. A lot more protests, even more violent protests than what they have in Nigeria here. If you don't protest, it's the piece of the graveyard. Those foreigners will be embarrassed if you don't even protest. You should therefore protest peacefully, legitimately, constitutionally.
All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is still Nation's Voice Tower. You listened to or you watched Professor Udenta there. If you don't know, let me give you a briefly though. Professor Udenta is the present director with the Center for Alternative Policy, Perspective and Strategy. That's the CAPPS, and he's a master in his field. So he is kind of aggrieved there with his statement, but he's still urging Nigerians to please go out in mass if they want to protest peacefully though, and legally and constitutionally. If you feel you want to protest the 29th day of May 2023, it is safe and it's actually allowed. He spoke of the link that the foreign visitors or the foreign observers coming from outside Nigeria are going to have on the inauguration day that day, and he also sees it as a very, very wonderful platform or suitable platform for Nigerians to protest if they feel that anything going on in the Eagle Square is quite different from what they want or what they really have in their minds to go on. That is that. Next on my update, an unknown group staged a protest today on an issue of projecting for the advocacy of a borderless African continent. All right, in Abuja today, this particular group, names withheld or unknown to us rather, have actually protested to commemorate the African Week. Yes, the African Week has been trending for the past few days, from the 22nd day of May down to the 28th day of May. Yes, and this particular week is the African Liberation Week. Now, this particular march, although a peaceful march there, has actually been captured on air for the reach of Nigerians and the federal government. Now, recall that few days ago or few weeks ago, President Muhammadu Buhari actually ordered for the immediate closure of all the African borders or all borders that are pertaining to Nigeria and other African countries, okay, thereby rendering Nigeria sort of borderless in a couple of weeks. So nobody legitimately passes through any border throughout after the decree by President Muhammadu Buhari. So in the wake of that, this particular group have staged a peaceful march and protest to really bring to the notice of the federal government that they need a borderless Africa. Watch them protest.
Borderless Africa.
We want a 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 borderless Africa.
Africans
rising.
Africans
rising.
Africans
rising.
Africans
rising.
For the union makes us strong. The African Liberation Day is a very significant event because it commemorates the struggle and achievement of all African countries in their quest for independence, unity, and self-determination. The African Liberation Week, which ran from 22nd to 28th of May, is a very important day. It's an annual celebration of all Africans because it speaks to our past, our present, and of course our future as Africans. It's a day to celebrate African sovereign rule. It's a day to celebrate African identity. And of course, it's a day to celebrate African unity. No African should be treated as a foreigner in any African countries. Africans will unite. If if we become a borderless Africa, it means that the unification and liberation of Africa has just commenced. And then it means that it comes to put an end to the Western imperialist and colonial rule on the mother continent. That is emphasizing the needs for integration, cooperation, and peaceful coexistence across all African countries. The rationale behind a borderless Africa, of course, cannot be overemphasized. We are here to call on all African people, to call on all African leaders to allow Africans to be in consonance with us, to allow all Africans to be able to move freely across the mother continent, which is Africa. Africa is the cradle of civilization, have been divided and some given to other countries, and that is why we are having these issues of banditry. Because even as at now that the borders are locked, that there are huge visa restrictions, the question of insecurity has still become a very huge challenge in all of the African countries. And the reason why we have illegal immigrants, the reason why we have the question of illegal immigrants across the African continent is because people are given stringent rules to visit their brothers from other African countries. This should not happen. We are all Africans. We are proud Africans, and we should be able to explore the mother continent. We should be able to move freely, just like we move to states within Abuja. We should be able to move to all countries across Africa. So we are looking about the huge economic importance that is going to have on us, and the question of, and the huge impact, of course, business-wise, that is going to have on us, and the huge role of unification that this borderless Africa is going to have on all of us.
Welcome back. I will urge you to like our videos. I will also urge you to share our videos to people in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. I will also urge you to tap the subscribe button if you are new or if you are an incoming subscriber. Then if you are an already existing viewer and one of our lovely subscribers, don't forget to tap the notification bell so you will get updates from us anytime we drop any update. Okay, that is for you though. Yes, so before we go further, I will give you a brief on that protest. It is just so right to protest, because when you block all the borders in Nigeria, or when you establish a sort of blocked borders around the countries neighboring to Nigeria, you've not only stopped economic development, you've really stopped the sort of business network that has enriched many lives of Nigerians. Many families of Nigerians hinge on this particular business network. So closing the borders would actually bring more of maybe hunger or more of poverty to the lives of many Nigerians who use the border as a form or as a mode of business transaction. All right, so the immigration and the officers of the custom too have to tighten up their belts, because this particular issue pertains to them. So if you ask me, I will tell you President Muhammadu Buhari should please review that particular order and give a lenient one, so that Nigerians could actually benefit from open borders as well as the Nigerian economy itself. And so it should also tighten the security on the immigration service and the customs service, because if the borders are open, they need to double their efforts to make sure we have safer borders in Nigeria. That is that. Then finally, Dr. Yunus Atanko, who is a spokesperson of the Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council and who is also the director of the media team of the Labour Party, came on air speaking on the coming summit that has been organized by the Labour Party to actually pass a sort of orientation to all their newly elected public officers or party members for the betterment of a new Nigeria. This is a plan of a good party, don't you think so? Because this particular summit to hold very soon is not only in attendance, or we not only have Nigerians in attendance. Nigerians in diaspora too are going to attend this particular summit, which will tell you that there will be high level of diffusion of ideas for the betterment of a democracy in Nigeria and for a stable political system. Listen to him explain how the summit will be, and listen to him inculcate, while he inculcates all the happenings in the Labour Party and how the Labour Party hopes to skyrocket from its present predicament to a new level. Watch Yunus Atanko.
Because majority of Nigerian youth, especially now, have been moving out of the country, this Japa syndrome. Everybody going out, most of our doctors, best technicians, best technocrats, all of them are outside. But for them to have shown so much love to the Labour Party, it signifies that they are interested in what happened back home. And they want to change the narrative from our docility to a productive nation. And that means that that particular word from Peter Obi, changing from consumption to production, actually has resonated with them. So they are contributing seriously, mobilizing seriously, supporting every inch of the movement of the Labour Party to ensure that that particular agenda comes true, and making sure that the chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria becomes justiciable. Yeah, but in part, the reason why we are championing a new course and setting up the new agenda that I'm talking, and holding our members together as when you talk about holding ourselves together, we are more tighter than the way we are.
You before. Mean your faction is
not
tighter.
faction. the Labour Party itself, let me explain.
Right.
It's not a tea party. Nobody thought that probably the Labour Party would get to this particular level. And you think those who have already manipulated this, our collective interest, will stand abeyance and watch us, how we rescue the country? They have already enjoyed in terms of corruption and way of institutionalizing them in social malfeasance that affects negatively the interest of the people. And so they find it difficult to make a change from the old order to a new order. So they will do everything within the box to ensure that they cause a lot of havoc within the party. But now here is the catch. We have refused to be intimidated. Ab initio. We have refused to be divided. We've pulled on course what we intend to do, to a point that the voice of our principal has now been mimicked in such a way that you will think that somebody is speaking like Peter Obi. Right. And I give you an example of what happened. Just a few days ago or 4 days ago, we were at the court. A gentleman approached us at the court, and he said that His Excellency Peter Obi actually called him to tell him that I'm on my way to your workshop. I've said this thing before. We are on my way to your workshop. But then all of a sudden, that Peter Obi started speaking Igbo language to him. And then the next thing he said was that, I'm sorry, I'm not Igbo. Then he said Peter Obi hung up on him. So he came to court to challenge our principal that, so you are a religious and tribal bigot. And interestingly, we draw the attention of His Excellency. He said, please tell that gentleman to wait for me. I'm coming out of the court. Immediately I come out of the court, I will listen to him. He now according, gentleman, do I know you? He said, no, of course. Do I have your number? He said, no. And do you know who this gentleman is? The son of the former governor of Kogi State, Abubakar Audu. So he's not just a bystander. He's a respected person within the society. And he represents the interests of the Nigerian youth in a way. So the drama continued.
Right.
And again, he confirmed that Peter Obi just told him, I just arrived from UK, 3 a.m. And from 3 a.m. I'm here in this particular room. So there's no way I would have called you. It was embarrassing for the young man. But at the end of it all, the young man now started snapping pictures. We now gotten a new convert. That makes us much stronger. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that the more they come at us, the more we soar high.
Right.
And the more they make any kind of false attack on us, the more we cling. So I was part of a committee that had a meeting with this same group. And we agreed that there won't be any kinds of attack. But unfortunately, the first thing that happened in the court, and this particular discussion was called by our principal. And then we were supposed to meet 6 p.m. to deal with this matter. What we want to do was just, let's even listen to you. If you have a genuine concern, in a group of people, when there is genuine concern, you come into the group and deal with the matter, not create a coup d'etat within the particular system. And, interestingly, the judge of where they took their first originating summon asked them, you have put me in the social media. Did I in any way pronounce that you, Apapa, should take over the leadership of the party? There's no way where that particular issue mentioned. Up to today, I challenge anybody to show.
Yeah, welcome back. A stable party is a stable party. Aside the factionalism in the Labour Party, I believe the Labour Party that has risen in a few weeks to one of the biggest opposition parties in Nigeria is so organized. Aside the factionalism though, so we can't really say that they have no plans on ground. If you listen to the manifesto of Peter Obi, you will know how organized the Labour Party is. And if you listen to the plans Tanko Yunus has explained over the oncoming summit, it is really a good plan. So this legislature or these legislative officers that are going in for a new tenure under the Labour Party will also have a sort of orientation to know what path to take, so you don't forget or relegate those people who brought you into power to the background. Thanks for joining us. Always stay glued to Nation's Voice Tower as we bring you more updates. See you next time. Bye.